And welcome back to our third episode of Stepfamily Saturdays with your stepfamily guides who are here to lead you through your journey of stepfamily life. For those of you new to our Stepfamily Saturday conversations, I'm Adrienne. I am a mom of two, a stepmom of two, and the founder of the Art of Blended Chaos, a coaching resource to help you navigate the daily challenges of blended family life. With me today are Amelia and Amy, my fellow stepfamily guides. I'm going to let each of them introduce themselves, and then we're going to dive into a conversation about the stepmom-biomom relationship. Amelia, do you want to kick us off?
Sure, I'm Amelia, the owner of Lane Stepfamily Coaching. I'm located in Ontario, Canada. I am a second wife, stepmom of one, mom of two, and one of those is our ours baby that we added 6 years ago. And I'm also a child of divorce, so I can offer clients many different perspectives when they're dealing with their challenges. Amy?
Thank you. I'm Amy, founder of Dare to Parent and creator of Steps for Success, which is a 5-week coaching program. I'm a dual certified parenting and stepfamily coach, which basically just means that I help you through the challenges of parenting and that stepfamily journey. I focus a lot on discipline, communication, and really helping couples get on the same page for parenting, for discipline, for expectations, and blending their parenting styles. Mom of 3, all adults. A grandma as of a year ago, almost. And while I'm not a stepmom, I've worked with a lot of step couples, and I have 2 stepmoms in my family that have kind of helped them navigate these waters too. So I'm here to help and support any way I can.
Awesome. Now that you know a little bit more about each of us, we're going to dive into an open conversation of continuing this month's theme of the X. And today we're going to focus on the stepmom-biomom relationship. So 2 weeks ago, we briefly touched on that relationship, if it should happen, how it should happen, how an introduction should be, and where that should start. So today, let's kick it off with dispelling some of the social norms that still exist in our society, and that sense that we either have to be Pinterest perfect or mortal enemies, and there's really no middle ground in there, which I think there could be more middle ground in there. What do you ladies think?
I actually brought this up because I feel like with the couples that I've worked with and the stepmoms that I've worked with, they feel like they have to fit into a box. We're either, you see, we've all talked about this together too, you see the pictures of the step families and they're all wearing the matching jersey and they're all sitting together at the sports events or whatever, which is great. It's fabulous if you can do that. But let's be real with the fact that that doesn't always happen. But you don't have to be mortal enemies just because everybody says you should be. Or, if you get, this is something that happened with one of the step couples that I worked with, was her friends, none of whom were stepmoms, were super supportive. Anytime she was like, she's mean, my husband's ex, she's mean, she's awful, blah, blah, blah. These women, none of them knew this other person, but yet they were jumping all over her because she's the ex. And that just fuels that fire of, oh, we have to be enemies. We can't possibly be okay with each other. And Adrienne, you've talked about, make that call, have a cup of coffee together, figure out together how you're going to do it. There is a middle ground. You don't have to be one or the other. There's that meshing of whatever works best for your family. And I think we need to be okay with not being at one of those 2 extremes. And that's a good thing too.
Absolutely not. And it doesn't have to be that you're best friends either. You can have things that you agree to disagree on, but you can do it in a very adult, mature manner and have a conversation and hear each other's perspective and be willing to share your perspective and be willing to actively listen to the other person's perspective and look for a middle ground where you're both willing to compromise a little to get to know one another, to build a relationship, and to do right by the children ultimately. And when we can do that, that's a great example for our children. That's modeling what we want them to grow up and model in their own behavior and relationships. So it's really leading by example.
And just to add to that, I think it can be very helpful for the kids when they can see mom and stepmom or dad and stepdad interacting, and it just kind of makes them feel safer to be able to have that relationship with their step-parent when they can see those relationships happening. And also, I just want to add that, you know, your relationship with the ex can kind of goes in ebbs and flows. Like maybe, you know, there are times when it's good and maybe there are more difficult times, but it doesn't always have to be one way or the other. And if it does go, you know, the other way, you can always, you know, hopefully try and work back to having that more peaceful relationship with that person. So
Absolutely. So there are instances, we all know this from our own lives or from working with clients, where the biomom is just absolutely resistant, has a wall up, and wants nothing to do with stepmom, doesn't want her in the picture, doesn't want a relationship with her, really just wishes she doesn't exist. That can be hard for stepmom to come to terms with. So what are thoughts, feelings, suggestions, strategies to navigate that and to as the stepmom, to come to terms with that yourself and continue to move forward with your life so that doesn't hold you back in your relationship within your family dynamics?
With clients that I have dealt with having this issue is, you know, I try and remind them that to the ex, you're a mirror of all the things that they are not now, right? You know, they no longer have that relationship in that family that they had hoped and dreamed of. You know, no one gets married or has a baby in hopes of someday it ending in divorce and their family breaking down. And that, you know, despite whatever the issues were and however the relationship ended, that's still hurtful to both parties involved, right? And I think we need to be mindful of that and empathetic towards that. Yeah, so you're this kind of mirror image of what she'd hoped and dreamed to be, and now there you are, you know, standing in the driveway. So I think, yeah, I try and remind my clients of that, you know, maybe it's not that she doesn't like you, maybe it's that she's hurting and still working through her own grief. So
yeah, that's really, really important to look at that.
Yeah. Another part of that too is, you know, there's the fear of, what if my kids like stepmom more than they do me? You know, because stepmom can be the one that, oh, we bake together, or, you know, we go play games together and stuff. Maybe or maybe not, there's rules and regulations there, but as a mom, having someone else, you know, as another adult in my child's life, I still want to be the primary, you know, and we don't want to get knocked off that role there. So there's the fear of being less liked, or fear of being replaced, or, you know, that sense of this other person is now a part of my child's life, but that was my, you know, I grew that kid for 9 months. I, you know, brought that child into the world, but now this other woman has time with my child. So that fear factor could sit in there too, of not wanting to lose that relationship with your own child, even though your child has a really good relationship with his or her stepmom.
Yeah, I'd say it's safe to say that a lot of the challenges in dealing with these co-parenting relationships, whether it's exes or new relationships, there's a lot of fear and jealousy and ego driving a lot of the thinking, the mindset. And so if we can kind of calm that down and take a moment to really think about the facts, then we can let some of that fear and jealousy go and work from a place of reality versus the stories that we build up in our minds. Which really takes us to another question we get a lot, which is, what are tools and strategies for how to find common ground between stepmom and biomom and build that relationship? I know something that I teach to my clients a lot and encourage them to do, and something that worked really well for me was compassion journaling. And it's really sitting down with pen and paper and putting myself in that other person's shoes and just reflecting on what I think they could be feeling or experiencing or going through, even if I haven't been in their position, to try to put myself in their mindset and understanding brings me to a place of greater understanding and a a greater willingness to compromise and meet them where they are, knowing that we can grow from there together. But if we can't even get on the same page together, then we can't grow together. So that's the first hurdle or stumbling block. And just plain old compromise, being willing to give and take and know that it doesn't have to be all or nothing every time. And it's not a competition. It's not about me winning or being right, which can be really hard when you're a competitive person by nature. But when you can step back and say, okay, this isn't a competition. I'm not on a sports field or racing a car or something truly competitive. This is about raising children, happy, healthy, well-rounded children. It helps remove that competitive nature and bring in more compromise.
Yeah, I think too, like moms and stepmoms, if you could really take your egos out of it and look at, what are my strengths and what are her strengths and how can we each benefit this one child? Not everyone is great at everything. So, really look at that and what can you each bring to the table for this child? And, it doesn't have to be a competition. I think that's a great way to look at it as well.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's something that we do personally in my own situation, and it has worked beautifully on one half of the equation, where we found each other's strengths and we play up to that. I even call her and say, "Hey, will you sew this for me?" Because I touch a sewing machine and break it. So she touches a sewing machine and makes beautiful things. So it's just finding those commonalities you can bond over.
Yeah, and the flip side to that is, maybe you never will have that kind of relationship with her. And so learning to cope with that and understanding that that's her right to not want to have that type of relationship with you, and working through those emotions and, and how you're going to overcome that as well.
And I would just suggest starting small. We talk about finding common ground. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something really, really small, like let's say the child's birthday is coming up and, let's figure out together how we're going to do this, but break it down into small things like, do you want to order the cake or should I order the cake? What kind of cake should you find something where it's not going to lead into a fight and just start planting seeds? Because really, and Adrienne, I love you always use the word growing together, because it's really what you all are doing is, you start out at this spot, but we have to go forward, and we could, with the mindset of growing together, I think that's so good for everyone's perspective.
Yeah, I think it's like any relationship. We can't expect to jump in and just be best friends. Like, that's not how it worked. First, we have to resolve the broken relationships and come to terms and heal from all of the past pain and trauma. And then we have to be willing to build a new relationship with somebody who we might not always see eye to eye, or somebody that makes us feel inferior or less than, or all these other fears and jealousy feelings come up. So it is, to me, it's really about growth and moving forward from one point to the next, even if that's baby micro steps.
Yeah, just to add to that as well is, just being careful that you're not stepping on toes. I know I have always been really careful with my stepdaughter's mom to, make the phone call or send the text when I feel like it could be, a milestone moment and I don't want to overstep my place. For instance, just this past summer, it was her birthday the day she was here, and I was going to make her a cake. And, I just said, do you mind if I make the cake and we bring it to your place so that we can have it at your place? But I didn't want to show up, with this cake and make her feel like, oh, stepmom, there she goes again, making her cakes, so I just, just being mindful of her feelings. And I think a lot of women will appreciate that, if you can be mindful that they are the bio parent and.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so important. A lot of it comes down to that communication and just talking to one another and asking questions and seeing how somebody else feels and being willing to hear them out and understand everybody's going to have different feelings, but there is some commonality in it. So if, whether this is you or clients you've worked with, if you had a completely safe space and you knew that nothing you said was going to cause a fight, and you could just be completely candid and honest and share something that you wish BioMom understood or knew about you, what would that be? Or what are the things you help your clients express or share with biomom so that they can start to build that relationship?
I would say the top one for my clients has always been, I'm not trying to replace you as the bio parent. You know, take away that feeling of threat, and it just de-escalates a lot of things. Just reassure them, like, your mom, I get it. I don't want to step on your toes, as Amelia said, and just, I respect that you're this child's mom. I want to be a support system for the child. So, you know, finding just that ground to work on together, that I'm not trying to kick you out, you know, out of the picture. I'm just here as an additional support system for your kiddo. Sometimes if you just plug that piece in, it helps the relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I'm not trying to replace you. I know your mom.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to remove you or replace you. I am here as a support, and I am the mother figure in our home, and I am stepmom, and I want to be a part of this child's life and their growth and supporting and developing them. But I'm not disillusioned to think that I replace you as mom. And like you said, just sharing that transparently. And I know that that can come up often, and something that we will not dive into today, but maybe a future discussion of what step parents get called in the home. I know that's different and challenging and tricky, but I know that comes into play with this conversation. So we'll have to look at that in the future. But any final words of wisdom to share on this topic? If not, we'll wrap up for today. We thank you for joining us. If you do have thoughts or questions that you'd like us to discuss or share or answer for you, please reach out to us. You can find us on social media, on Facebook and Instagram at Stepfamily Guides. And you can also find us on our website, where our email address is, and learn more about what we do and what we offer for the Stepfamily community. And that's stepfamilyguides.com. We hope that you've enjoyed today's conversation, taken away some key tips and strategies to implement in your own life, and we hope you have a beautiful day.